Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about another major Arctic invasion here. This is going from unusual to borderline rare type of a weather pattern now at this point. We're heading into May, and we're still talking about winter-like air heading into the United States. This one's going to actually be particularly major. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, what is your dream job if money was not included? So like obviously you would say something like a doctor or something that makes really good money, but if money wasn't involved, what would be your dream job? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now let's get into this video, and we're looking at our air temperature, obviously, compared to normal. Here was our previous Arctic blast on April 30th. We had some cold air in the eastern United States. And then here's that bigger, very big warm-up heat wave for Texas and Oklahoma, but a warm-up for the eastern United States. And that's, as of this morning, we're dealing with a pretty big warm-up here in the eastern United States. And that's going to last pretty much through the day tomorrow, but we'll see that next cool down coming in through the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Great Lakes there, as you can see on the screen right now. We're about to move on, but we're going to start to see some pretty decent cold air head in, and this isn't our major cooldown yet, but we're going to be talking day by day through the entire model run in this video. Now, the reason I shared all of that previous, cooldown, the heat wave, and then our cooldown is because people get very, very confused about the timeline, and I think it's actually my fault, not you guys' fault, so I'm not trying to point any fingers. I think it does get kind of confusing as I talk about temperature patterns. I don't really go in timeline order. I really just kind of get random with it. I just wake up in the morning and I look at the models and I figure out what I'm going to make a video on, but I should be getting better at the timeline. So now we're talking about the next upcoming temperature pattern, and hopefully I don't make anything for before the cooldown. I don't think I will. So we're going to try to stick on a timeline based order so that it gets a little less confusing here. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm trying to figure out what I could do better on this channel. Obviously, every little improvement helps. So we're talking about this more major area of cold air that's going to move in for Tuesday, and it's going to be very, very brutal because Sunday and Monday are going to be very, very nice. That's today and tomorrow, actually. And then Tuesday is going to be the return of the really nasty cold weather that we've been dealing with all spring long. Let's go ahead and move on towards Wednesday, and you can see it's pretty much a similar story. Deep blues, kind of purplish colors. Really just sticking around for the central and eastern United States. The heat wave comes to an end in Texas and Oklahoma here by this point. You can see blue showing up for you guys. We're still going to be dealing with that. 100s, 90s, pretty widespread. So, yeah, it's going to be really nice and then really nasty afterwards. And I can't really see an end to the nasty weather yet. So we're going to talk all about that. We're about to move on towards Thursday, where we're going to start to see things get even colder. Alright, and as you can see here, this is by Thursday, May 7th. You can see the cold actually becomes a lot more widespread. Deeper blues and purples becoming more and more common. So that's going to be indicating areas where we're about 6 to 12 degrees below average Celsius. Very, very cold compared to normal. Let's go ahead and take a look at Saturday now. We're actually skipping a day. And look at that, guys. That cold air actually becomes a lot more potent. Look at all the purples and pinks. This is why I'm calling it a major Arctic invasion. People get this very confused. I had a lot of people saying, like, why are you calling it an Arctic blast? Like, it's not an Arctic blast. What I consider an Arctic blast is if that air was over the Arctic regions of the world and then they push down into the United States. To me, that's an Arctic blast, if an Arctic air mass moves in. So that's my definition. This Arctic air mass came from northern Canada and made its way all the way down to the central and eastern United States, and it's going to bring very potent cold air, especially this time. We're looking at 12 to 28 degrees below average for those purple and pink regions. So particularly here for Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and that's including some of those very mountainous regions. So that's really going to help really push these areas into very, very cold temperatures. Snow is even possible for a lot of regions. We're not really going to talk about that in this video because it's going to be very, very light snow events if it does happen, and it's not going to be anytime soon, obviously 100 hours plus out. So we will talk about that on a future date if that is going to be the case. As of right now, the models are indicating that it will be possible for a lot of places where it's unusual to see snow this time of year, which is pretty much everywhere, to see snow. during the month of May. So, I mean, very, very rare type of a weather pattern we're in right now. Like I said before, I've never seen anything like this since I've been into weather. Very, very interesting. All right, now we're about to move on towards Sunday. We're going to go through the weekend into early next week. So we're going to be looking at May 11th and beyond after this point. And we could get even more major Arctic air, actually, even more major than what we're looking at right now. So we're about to move on and take a look at that. All right, so here we are, and we're at Sunday, and you can see things weaken a little bit. We're not looking at those pinks, but there is very, very widespread purples, and that's going to be for a lot of the deep south, the south central United States, the southeast. Also, I want to draw your attention westward. Look at all of that red and really like pink within the red. That's indicating areas of 12 to 28 degrees above average temperatures. So the west coast, while we're looking at all this cold air, is going to be dealing with some quite nice weather and even hot weather in some areas. The purples there is indicating areas of 8 to 16 degrees below average for the deep south and southeast. Obviously, we're not going to be looking at snow or freezing temperatures for these regions, but really it is going to be quite chilly compared to what you're normally used to. As we take a look at Monday, look at all those pinks, guys. Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas especially, and then also for some of the Ohio Valley there. I mean, that's 16 to 28 degrees below average. Some of these areas are going to be looking at very brutal cold air actually for this time of year. Again, very major Arctic air making its way from northern Canada. So what normally the temperatures would be like in northern Canada have completely been shoved down into the eastern United States. And that's why it's so much colder than what's typically expected. Let's take a look at the 12th on Tuesday, and you can see it's a little less potent, but again, purples and pinks. So that's very far below normal still, just not quite as much as what we were looking at previously. And then you can see, look up in northern Canada, or sorry, southern Canada there, and you can see more purples have made their way in. So let's take a look at that next frame on Wednesday. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Classic Arctic blast. It comes all the way from the Arctic region, from northern Canada to southern Canada, and then into the United States. And here we are looking at it. I mean, Montana, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan. For these areas, it is going to be very cold. It is going to be below freezing a lot of the nights, and pretty far below freezing, actually, possibly. So very, very potent Arctic air here. Let's take a look at Thursday, and you can see that just makes its way further south, further east, still purples and pinks. And then by the time we're at Friday as well, May 15th, still a lot of purples, a lot of deeper blues all around for these regions. And then you can see by Saturday, it's still around pretty much just the same areas. Same story on Monday, May 18th. And then by Tuesday, May 19th, same story. Let's go ahead and move on. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the 5-day increments on our GFS ensemble model just to talk about these different time frames of the month of May. All right, so here is the 3rd through the 8th, which is today through the 8th, actually. And you can see we're going to be dealing with some warmer than normal conditions for the southwestern United States, possibly even some slightly colder than normal conditions up there for the northwest. But for the Midwest, the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and then the northeast coast, definitely going to be dealing with some below average temperatures. The deeper the blue, the colder the normal, and the more consistent the cold will be throughout this time frame. Keep in mind the 4th and the 5th of May will be warmer than normal for these regions, so most of that is going to be for the later portion of that 5-day period. Let's go ahead and look at the 8th through the 13th, though, and you can see we're going to cool down significantly. Purple's being indicated here, which is 8 to 12 degrees below average on a 5-day period. That means very consistent cold, so probably all 5 days within that 5-day period will be colder than normal, and also they will be far below normal. So going to be very, very cold for the central and eastern United States from the 8th through the 13th of May. Again, the West Coast looking at very, very warmer than normal conditions. Very classic positive PNA pattern. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the 13th through the 18th, and it becomes a little less consistent, a little bit less confident, but we're still looking at those blues in the central and the eastern United States. Let's go ahead and take a look at Noaa's 6 to 10 day outlook, and this is going to be for the 8th through the 12th, and you can see they are very confident that the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, basically everywhere in the central and eastern United States will be looking at some below average temperatures for that time frame. And then let's take a look at the 10th through the 16th, and it's basically the same story, a little less confidence, but yeah, basically the same story through the 15th of May. It's going to be a very cold May, a very drawn out one, and it's going to suck, basically. It's going to suck because I'm pretty much ready for the warmer weather, and this weekend's going to be nice, but afterwards, I mean, guys, soak it in today, soak it in on Monday if it's still warm where you're at, because after that point, I think we're going to have at least 2 weeks of cold air, consistent cold air, if not more. All right, now for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, what do you want this winter, this upcoming winter? What kind of conditions? And Danny Dud 3 said, I'm going to agree with the consensus in the comments, cold and snow. I mean, we always get cold and snow, but more so than usual. So it seems like everybody's pretty much ready for a colder than normal winter, a snowier than normal winter. And we're going to have to see what happens. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.